The security guard stared at me like I'd crawled out of a dumpster. His eyes dragged from my worn jeans to my faded university hoodie. I could see him doing the math, calculating my net worth at maybe $15 and some loose change. He stepped forward, blocking the entrance to the Imperial Crown Hotel, all the confidence of someone who'd been working this job for maybe 4 days. I told him I was here for the Chen Bradford engagement celebration. The smirk that spread across his face could have curdled fresh milk. He actually laughed, pointed one thick finger toward the side of the building where a small, weathered sign read "Service Entrance." Apparently, the help needed to use the appropriate door. My name is Harper Chen. I'm 33 years old. Standing there in my deliberately casual outfit, I probably looked like someone who'd gotten lost delivering pizza. The irony wasn't wasted on me, considering what I actually do for a living. But I kept quiet. Sometimes the sweetest revenge gets served slowly, course by course, like a Michelin-starred meal. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is right now. I see every single one. Thank you. My sister Olivia had called 2 weeks earlier, voice dripping with the enthusiasm of someone scheduling a root canal. She made it painfully clear I should try to look presentable, for once, because her future in-laws, the Bradfords, were very refined people. She actually used air quotes. I could hear them through the phone. She also mentioned, oh so casually, that maybe I shouldn't bring up my little internet business thing because the Bradfords were old money, generational wealth. They wouldn't understand online work. The security guard was still eyeing me, radio crackling with self-importance. I could have shown him identification, could have made one call, changed everything in 30 seconds. But where would the fun be in that? Instead, I smiled sweetly, headed toward the service entrance, my beat-up sneakers squeaking against wet pavement. Just as I reached the side door, a familiar voice shrieked across the parking lot. Olivia herself, wearing a dress that probably cost more than most people's car payments, came clicking across the asphalt, heels that definitely weren't designed for actual walking. Her face was a masterpiece, confusion mixed with barely hidden horror. She looked right at me, then through me like I was transparent, then at the security guard, who was explaining he'd redirected the delivery person to the proper entrance. Olivia actually giggled, that same nervous laugh she'd perfected in high school when she was embarrassed by association. She waved her manicured hand dismissively, said something about how these people always get confused about where they belong. These people. Her own sister. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted copper. Walked through that service entrance, head held high. The kitchen was chaos, pure, beautiful chaos, smelling like roasted garlic and expensive filet mignon. A sous chef immediately mistook me for the replacement server they'd been expecting, shoved an apron into my hands before I could say a word. The head chef, a mountain of a man named Antoine, who seemed to communicate entirely in French curse words and disappointed sighs, took one look at me, declared I was on seafood prep. Within minutes, I was elbow-deep in prawns, peeling and deveining like my survival depended on it. The other kitchen staff barely registered my presence, too busy gossiping about the disaster unfolding upstairs. Apparently, Olivia had already sent back 4 champagne deliveries for not being the right shade of gold, whatever that meant. The servers were taking bets on how many times she'd rearranged the napkin display. Current count was 7, and the party hadn't officially started yet. I learned more about my sister in that kitchen than I had in 5 years of awkward holiday dinners. She'd been terrorizing the staff for weeks, changing the menu 19 times, insisting flowers be flown in from Colombia because local orchids looked too common. One server mentioned she'd actually made the pastry chef cry over the engagement cake design. But the real gossip, as the younger staff called it, was about the Bradfords. Old money, they said, so old it had practically fossilized. Mrs. Bradford had arrived early to inspect the venue, spent 45 minutes explaining how their family had been hosting galas since before this hotel even existed. She name-dropped so many deceased relatives, I thought we might need a memorial table. But what nobody in that kitchen knew, what I was about to reveal before the night ended, would turn this entire engagement party into the most expensive lesson the Bradfords ever received, and my sister would never look at me the same way again. The kitchen doors exploded open, like someone had kicked them with both feet. Olivia stood there, in all her bride-to-be fury. Her face was that particular shade of crimson, the kind that means someone somewhere breathed wrong. She stormed through the kitchen, heels clicking like angry Morse code, demanding to know why the champagne wasn't chilled to exactly 47.5 degrees. Antoine tried explaining the champagne was at perfect serving temperature, but Olivia wasn't interested in facts. She wanted what she wanted, and what she wanted was perfection, the kind that would impress the Bradfords. She swept past the prep station, where I was wrist-deep in prawns, close enough I could smell her perfume. The same bottle she'd borrowed from my apartment 4 years ago never returned. She didn't even glance my direction. To her, I was just another invisible set of hands, making her perfect evening possible. After she hurricaned back out, one of the servers muttered that the Bradfords were already upstairs, telling anyone who'd listen that their son could have done better. The dishwasher laughed, said he'd overheard Mrs. Bradford in the ladies' room on her phone, discussing how to convince her son to cancel the engagement before it was too late. I kept peeling prawns, but my mind was racing. The Bradfords trying to sabotage my sister's engagement? Olivia terrorizing the staff? This was becoming quite the drama, and I hadn't even made it to the main event yet. I finished my seafood duty, told Antoine I needed a restroom break, slipped out of the kitchen, apron still tied around my waist. The service elevator was empty. Perfect. I needed a moment alone. Pressed the button for the penthouse level. Not the party floor. The one above it. The executive suite. My floor. 3 years ago, I purchased the Imperial Crown Hotel Collection. Not just this property, all 22 locations across the country. The acquisition was handled through my holding company, HC Global Enterprises. I deliberately kept my personal name off most documents. It was cleaner that way. Meant I could walk through my properties without being treated like the owner. You learn a lot about your business when people don't know you're the boss. The elevator opened to my private office suite. I used my fingerprint to unlock the door. The space was everything the party downstairs wasn't. Quiet, minimalistic, organized. Floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights spreading out like scattered diamonds. I pulled off the apron, sat at my desk, checked the security feeds on my computer. 37 cameras throughout the building. I could see everything. The ballroom where guests were starting to arrive, Olivia fluttering around like an anxious butterfly, the Bradfords holding court near the champagne fountain, Mrs. Bradford in a gown that screamed museum piece, Mr. Bradford looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, their son, Trevor, standing awkwardly, tugging at his collar, looking genuinely nervous. I switched to the kitchen feed. Antoine was plating appetizers, barking orders in rapid-fire French. The servers were loading trays. Everything running smoothly, despite Olivia's earlier meltdown. My phone buzzed. Text from my hotel manager. Miss Chen, the Bradford party has requested to see the general manager. Should I handle it, or would you prefer to? I smiled. Typed back, let them wait. I'll make an appearance later. I had time. The party was just beginning, and I wanted to see how this played out, naturally, without interference. I changed in my private bathroom, swapped the hoodie for a silk blouse, the jeans for tailored black pants, added a blazer, simple jewelry, professional but understated, checked my reflection. There. Now I looked like someone who belonged, though part of me enjoyed the earlier version more, the invisible one, the one people overlooked. I took the executive elevator back down, this time to the ballroom level. stepped out into the corridor, smooth jazz drifting from the party, laughter, clinking glasses, the hum of careful conversation. I could see into the ballroom through the glass doors. Olivia was greeting guests, smile plastered on, looking radiant, looking stressed, looking scared. Mrs. Bradford stood near the gift table, examining presents with the intensity of a customs agent, saying something to another woman, both of them laughing. Cold laughter, the kind that cuts. Mr. Bradford was at the bar, already on what looked like his third drink, and Trevor, poor Trevor, stood alone near the windows, staring out at the city, looking like he wanted to jump. I walked into the ballroom, casually. Nobody noticed me at first, just another guest, blending in. I grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing server. She recognized me. Eyes went wide, started to say something. I put a finger to my lips. She nodded, kept moving. Professional. I found a spot near a decorative column. Perfect vantage point. Could see everything, hear most conversations. Olivia finally spotted me, did a literal double take, confusion flashing across her face. She excused herself from a conversation, walked over, heels clicking purposefully. "Harper?" Her voice was tight. How you changed?" "I did." I sipped the champagne. "Nice party." "But you were—" The guard said that I was delivery. "I know, I heard." Her face flushed. You were dressed so—" "Casually?" I finished her sentence. "Yes, I was. Still I am underneath this blazer." She looked around nervously. "The Bradfords are here. Please don't mention your business thing. They're very traditional." "My business thing." I repeated it slowly. "Right." Before I could respond, Mrs. Bradford materialized beside us like a designer-clad ghost. "Olivia, darling. Who is this?" Olivia's smile went brittle. "This is my sister, Harper. Harper, this is Mrs. Bradford, Trevor's mother." Mrs. Bradford's eyes swept over me, calculating, assessing, dismissing. "Oh, the sister. I've heard so much." The way she said it made it clear she'd heard nothing good. "Lovely to meet you." I extended my hand. She took it limply, like touching something unpleasant. "What do you do, dear?" The question was a trap. I could see it. "I work in hospitality." Technically true. "How quaint." She turned back to Olivia, dismissing me entirely. "We need to discuss the seating arrangements. I've noticed some problematic placements." Olivia nodded eagerly, following Mrs. Bradford like a puppy, leaving me standing there, alone again, invisible again, exactly where I wanted to be. But Mrs. Bradford had just made her first critical mistake, because in exactly 90 minutes, when the toast began, I was going to show everyone in this room what real power looks like, and the Bradfords were about to learn you should never underestimate the woman in the casual clothes. I circulated through the party, glass of champagne in hand, ears open, mouth mostly shut. The Bradfords were holding court near the ice sculpture, a swan, melting slowly. Fitting metaphor. Mrs. Bradford's voice carried across the room, loud enough to be heard, quiet enough to claim plausible deniability. She was telling a cluster of guests about their family history, how they'd been in steel manufacturing before steel manufacturing was even fashionable, how their estate had 17 bedrooms, though she neglected to mention they'd sold it 6 months ago. I knew. I'd done my research. Always do your homework. Mr. Bradford joined a group of older men near the bar. I drifted closer, pretending to admire a floral arrangement. "The wedding's going to be expensive," one man said. Mr. Bradford laughed. Hollow. "Not our problem. The bride's family is covering everything." Another man chuckled. "Smart move, Bradford. Marry up." "Exactly." Mr. Bradford took a long drink. "The girl's family has money, hotel business or something. We're just facilitating the connection." My grip tightened on the champagne flute. Hotel business or something. They thought my family owned hotels. They weren't wrong, just wrong about which family member. I moved to another section of the room, found Trevor standing alone, still by the windows. I approached. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." He startled. turned, looked at me with genuine surprise. Is it that obvious? Only to anyone with eyes. He smiled, weak but real. You're Olivia's sister, Harper, right? That's me. She talks about you sometimes. I raised an eyebrow. Does she? Says you're smart, independent, that you built something from nothing. Interesting. Olivia had never said any of that to my face. What do you do, Trevor? He shrugged. Honestly, nothing. My parents have expectations, but they don't let me actually do anything. What would you do if you could choose? He looked surprised by the question. Architecture, maybe? Design? I studied it in college, but my father said it wasn't appropriate for a Bradford. Sounds limiting. It is. He stared out the window. Sometimes I wonder if I'm marrying Olivia because I love her or because I'm trying to escape. The honesty caught me off guard. Does she know that? I don't know. We don't really talk, not about real things. Before I could respond, Mrs. Bradford appeared, swooping in like a territorial bird. Trevor, darling, come, we need you for photos. She didn't acknowledge me, just pulled him away. He went, obedient, defeated. I checked my watch. Dinner would start soon, then toasts, then my moment. I slipped back toward the kitchen, wanted to check on the staff, make sure everything was running smoothly. Antoine was in his element, plating the main course, beef Wellington, perfectly cooked. How's it going? He looked up, recognized me despite the outfit change. Ah, Mademoiselle Chen. Much better now that the crazy bride is upstairs. She giving you trouble? She gave everyone trouble, but we survive. We always do. I smiled. Extra bonus for the team tonight. You've earned it. His eyes widened. You are too kind. You're too talented. It's an investment. I grabbed a plate, took it with me, found a quiet corner backstage, ate while watching the security feeds on my phone. Guests were being seated, Olivia fluttering around, adjusting place cards, straightening silverware. The Bradfords at the head table, looking regal, looking fraudulent. My parents were there too. I hadn't mentioned them yet. They were complicated. Always preferred Olivia, the social butterfly, the people pleaser. I was too difficult, too independent, too successful in ways they didn't understand. They sat at a side table, looking uncomfortable, out of place among the Bradford crowd. My father kept tugging at his tie. My mother kept smoothing her dress. They'd tried, bought new outfits for tonight, wanted to fit in, to impress the Bradfords. It made my chest tight. They were good people, just limited in their vision. Dinner began. I watched from the shadows. Mrs. Bradford made a toast, thanking everyone for coming, welcoming Olivia to the Bradford family, with all the warmth of a tax auditor. Mr. Bradford followed, a rambling speech about legacy, about maintaining standards, about how important it was to marry well. The irony was suffocating. Then it was Olivia's turn. She stood, hands shaking slightly, thanked the Bradfords for their generosity, for welcoming her, for this beautiful party at this stunning venue. She didn't mention me, didn't mention my parents, just praised the Bradfords endlessly, desperately. I felt something crack in my chest. Not anger exactly, just sadness for the sister I used to know before she got lost trying to be someone else. The speeches continued, friends of the couple, college roommates, cousins, all saying the expected things. Then Mrs. Bradford stood again. Before we continue, I'd like to address something. The room went quiet. There have been some concerns about the financial arrangements for this union. Olivia's face went white. Some people have suggested that perhaps our families aren't evenly matched. She smiled, sharp as a knife. I want to assure everyone that we've done our due diligence. The Chen family has been thoroughly vetted. My jaw clenched. And while they may not have our pedigree, they do have assets that make this arrangement acceptable. The room was silent. You could hear ice melting in glasses.
Olivia looked like she might faint. My father's face went red. My mother stared at her plate. Mrs. Bradford continued, "We believe in being transparent, in knowing exactly what we're getting into, and we're satisfied with what we've found." She sat down, satisfied, convinced she'd just established dominance. That's when I stood. All eyes turned to me. Confusion on most faces, recognition on the staff's faces. "Excuse me?" My voice cut through the silence. "I don't believe we've been properly introduced." I walked to the front of the room, heels clicking, each step deliberate. "My name is Harper Chen." I stopped beside the head table. "I'm Olivia's sister, the one who wasn't mentioned in the toasts." Olivia's eyes were wide, panicked, and I think it's time we had an honest conversation about transparency. I pulled out my phone, opened a file. "Mrs. Bradford, you mentioned doing your due diligence on my family. That's interesting, because I did the same on yours." Her face froze, and what I found was illuminating. Because what the Bradfords didn't know, what nobody in this room except me and my accountant knew, was that I had receipts, bank statements, property records, tax liens, and in the next 60 seconds, I was about to expose every single lie this family had built their reputation on.
I projected my phone screen onto the ballroom's display wall, the hotel's audiovisual system, top of the line, because I'd installed it. Financial documents appeared, large enough for everyone to see. "This is the Bradford family estate." I pointed to a property listing. "Sold 8 months ago for $11 million. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mrs. Bradford stood. "This is completely inappropriate. This is public record." I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. "As are these." More documents appeared. Tax liens, 3 of them, totaling $2.4 million. Mr. Bradford's face went purple. "You have no right." "I have every right. You're marrying into my family. You demanded transparency, so let's be transparent." I advanced to the next slide. "Your son Trevor, his trust fund, the one you told Olivia would secure their future," I paused, "emptied 6 years ago to cover your investment losses." Trevor's head snapped toward his father. "You told me that money was still there." Mr. Bradford couldn't look at him. "The yacht you mentioned at dinner last month." Another slide. "Repossessed. The country club membership, canceled for non-payment. The art collection you promised to pass down, sold at auction." Mrs. Bradford's hands were shaking. "This is slander." "It's documentation." I turned to face the room. "The Bradfords came to this engagement party, stayed at this hotel, ordered premium everything, and put it all on a credit card that's currently maxed out." I clicked to another document. "In fact, they were planning to leave without paying. Weren't you, Mrs. Bradford?" Her mouth opened, closed. Nothing came out. "My staff intercepted a conversation 3 days ago between you and someone you hired to sabotage tonight's event." The room erupted. Whispers, exclamations, phones coming out. The plan was simple. Make the party fail, make Olivia look incompetent, give Trevor an excuse to call off the engagement before you had to admit you couldn't afford the wedding. Trevor stood. "Mother, tell me this isn't true." Mrs. Bradford's composure cracked. "Darling, it's not. She's twisting things. Show them the recording." I nodded to my technical staff. Audio played through the speakers, crystal clear. Mrs. Bradford's voice discussing payment with someone, $5,000, to create problems during the party, spill drinks, mix up orders, cause chaos. The room went dead silent. Olivia was crying, mascara running. My mother had her hand over her mouth. My father looked like he wanted to fight someone. I turned to Olivia. "They were using you for access to money they thought our family had." I paused. Let that sink in. Money they believed I had. Confusion crossed her face. "You?" "Me." I walked to the center of the room. "Everyone keeps asking about this venue, about how beautiful it is, how perfect for an engagement party." I stopped. "There's a reason it's perfect. I own it."
The silence was deafening. Not just this hotel, all 22 Imperial Crown properties across the country. Olivia's legs seemed to give out. She sat down hard. Your internet thing? My internet thing is a hotel management platform. I built it 7 years ago, sold it for $48 million, used that money to buy my first property, then another, then the entire chain. I looked directly at Mrs. Bradford. So when you did your due diligence on the Chen family finances, you were looking at the wrong family member. Mr. Bradford found his voice. Angry, desperate. This is absurd. You're lying. Am I? I pulled a document from my jacket pocket. This is the deed to this hotel, signed by me 3 years ago. I handed it to the nearest guest. Pass her around. Verify it. The document made its rounds. Gasps, murmurs, shock. Trevor looked at me, then at Olivia, then at his parents. You knew. His voice was hollow. You knew she had money, real money, and you were trying to get access to it through me. Mrs. Bradford reached for him. Sweetheart, it's not like that. Then what is it like, Mother? His voice cracked. Because from where I'm standing, you used me. You lied to me. You tried to manipulate my fiancé's family for money. We were protecting you. From what? Happiness? Independence? A real relationship? He turned to Olivia. Did you know about any of this? She shook her head, still crying. I swear, Trevor, I had no idea about Harper, about your parents, about any of it. I believed her. My sister could be shallow, could be vain, but she wasn't a con artist, just someone who got caught in someone else's con. I addressed the room again. The bill for tonight's party, $49,000, not including gratuity. Mrs. Bradford went pale. Since the Bradfords can't pay, and since this is technically an engagement party for both families, I have 2 options. I paused for effect. 1, I call the authorities, report theft of services, credit card fraud, conspiracy. Mr. Bradford started sweating. Or 2, the Bradfords leave right now, quietly, and I absorb the cost as a gift to my sister. I looked at Olivia. Assuming there's still going to be a wedding, Mrs. Bradford grabbed her purse. This is outrageous. We're leaving. Excellent choice. I gestured to security. 2 guards appeared, professional, ready. Please escort the Bradfords to their room, let them collect their belongings, then escort them off the property. Mrs. Bradford's face twisted. You can't do this. I can. I'm the owner. This is private property, and you're no longer welcome. Trevor didn't follow his parents, just stood there, looking lost, looking relieved, looking terrified. Mr. Bradford turned back, one last attempt at dignity. You'll regret this, all of you. The Bradford name means something. It means debt. I said it flatly. It means lies. It means using your son as a bargaining chip for financial security. That's what the Bradford name means now. Security escorted them out. Mrs. Bradford protesting. Mr. Bradford silent, defeated. The ballroom erupted. Everyone talking at once. Some guests leaving, some staying to watch the drama unfold, some recording everything. Tomorrow's social media content, today's scandal. I walked over to Olivia. She looked up at me, eyes red, face streaked with makeup. You own all of this. Not a question, a statement, processing. I do. And you never told me. I tried, multiple times. You always changed the subject when I talked about work. Because I thought you were embarrassed about your little internet business. I thought I was protecting you from people like the Bradfords. A laugh escaped, bitter, painful. Turns out you were the one who needed protecting. Trevor sat beside her. I'm so sorry. I didn't know about my parents, not all of it. I knew we were struggling, but I thought they were handling it with dignity. He looked at me, not with fraud. But what nobody had noticed yet, what was about to make this night even more complicated, was that the security guard from earlier, the one who sent me to the service entrance, was now standing in the ballroom doorway. And the look of absolute horror on his face when he realized who I actually was, well, that was almost worth the entire evening.
The security guard stood frozen in the doorway, face pale, eyes wide, mouth slightly open. He'd just connected the dots. The woman he'd sent to the service entrance, the woman he'd called delivery, was standing at the front of the ballroom, explaining that she owned the entire building. I caught his eye. Gave him a small nod. He looked like he might pass out. I'd deal with that later. Right now, Olivia needed me. My sister was still sitting, shoulders shaking, crying into her hands. Trevor beside her, looking equally devastated. I pulled up a chair, sat across from them. Olivia. She looked up. Mascara everywhere, lipstick smudged, hair falling out of its perfect updo. She'd never looked more real. I'm so sorry. Her voice cracked. For everything, for being horrible, for dismissing you, for pretending you didn't exist tonight. She wiped her face, made it worse. I was so obsessed with impressing them, with being someone I'm not, that I couldn't see who you really were. I handed her a napkin. Do you want to know the really sad part? She nodded. If you'd just asked, I would have helped, paid for everything. No questions, no judgment. I paused. That's what family does. She sobbed harder. I don't deserve you. Probably not. A small smile. But you're stuck with me anyway. My parents approached, cautiously, like approaching a wild animal. My father spoke first. Harper, we had no idea. I know, Dad. My mother's eyes were wet. All those times you tried to tell us about your business, and we didn't listen. You didn't. I said it gently, not cruel, just honest. We thought you were embarrassed, that you were struggling. My father looked at the floor. We didn't want to make it worse by asking questions, so you assumed. We did, and we were wrong. My mother sat down, took my hand. I'm proud of you, Harper, so incredibly proud, and I'm sorry it took all this for me to say it. Something loosened in my chest. Not forgiveness yet, but a beginning. Trevor cleared his throat. I understand if you want to call off the engagement, Olivia. His voice was steady, resigned. My parents are criminals, frauds. Everything you thought you were marrying into was a lie. Olivia looked at him, really looked. Your parents are terrible. She said it bluntly. Spectacularly terrible. He nodded. But you stood up to them just now. You chose honesty over them. She took his hand. That means something. Does it mean enough? I don't know yet. Honest. Raw. But I'm willing to find out, if you are. He exhaled, relief washing over his face. I am. Good. She turned to me. Can we start over? Not just tonight, everything. What did you have in mind? I don't know, maybe I could work for you? Learn the business? Learn how to be someone real instead of someone pretending? I considered it. You'd have to start at the bottom, every department, kitchen, housekeeping, front desk, all of it. I know. And you'd have to apologize to every staff member you terrorized today. She winced. I know. And it won't be easy. I won't give you special treatment because you're my sister. I understand. I stood, extended my hand. Then welcome to Imperial Crown Hotels. You start Monday, 5 a.m., housekeeping shift. She took my hand, shook it firmly. Thank you. Trevor spoke up. I'd like to work too, earn my own money, instead of living off my parents' fake reputation. What did you study? Architecture and finance. I could use someone in our development department. We're expanding. Need people who understand design and budgets. His face lit up. Really? Really? But same rules. No special treatment. You prove yourself or you're gone. Fair. The ballroom was clearing out. Guests leaving. Some congratulating me. Some avoiding eye contact. The ones who'd laughed earlier when the guard sent me away, they remembered now. Antoine appeared from the kitchen, still in his chef's coat. Mademoiselle Shen, the staff, they would like to say thank you. For what? For defending them, for standing up to the crazy bride. He gestured to Olivia. No offense. None taken. She actually smiled. Small, embarrassed, but real. The kitchen staff filed out. Servers, sous chefs, dishwashers, all of them. I addressed the room. You all worked incredibly hard tonight, under difficult circumstances. The party may have imploded, but the service was flawless. Applause from the remaining guests. And everyone gets tonight's wages doubled, plus a bonus. Cheers. And the food that's left, donate it to the shelter on 5th Street. The flowers go to the nursing home across town. Nothing gets wasted. More applause. Accept the Bradford's dignity. Antoine said it. Everyone laughed, even Olivia. The security guard approached, walking like he was heading to his own execution. Miss Shen, I need to apologize. His voice shook. I didn't know who you were. I made assumptions based on your clothes. I was disrespectful, unprofessional. He took a breath. I understand if you want to fire me. I studied him. Young, maybe 22, genuinely remorseful. What's your name? Marcus Webb. And how long have you worked here? 4 days. And in those 4 days, what have you learned? He thought about it. That clothes don't tell you who someone is, that assumptions are dangerous, and that the owner might show up looking like anyone. Good lessons. I paused. You're not fired, Marcus, but you are on probation, and you're going to spend the next month working every department, just like my sister. Relief flooded his face. Thank you. I won't let you down. See that you don't. He left, walking taller. The ballroom was nearly empty now, just family, staff cleaning up, the ice swan completely melted, puddle on the table. Olivia stood, smoothed her ruined dress. I should go, change, process all of this. Where will you stay? She looked confused. I don't know. I gave up my apartment last month, was supposed to move in with Trevor next week. Trevor stood too. We were supposed to move into my parents' guest house. He laughed, bitter, which they probably don't own anymore. I pulled out my phone. Suite 412 is empty. It's yours. Both of you, if you want. Figure out your living situation tomorrow. Harper, I can't. You can. You will. Consider it an advance on your first paycheck. She hugged me, tight, desperate. Thank you. You're welcome. They left, together, holding hands, still engaged, still together. Maybe they'd make it. Maybe they wouldn't, but at least now it would be real. My parents lingered. We should talk, my father said. Soon, really talk. We should, I agreed, but not tonight. Tonight's been enough. My mother kissed my cheek. We love you, sweetheart. We always have. We just forgot to show it. I know, Mom. They left. I stood alone in the empty ballroom, city lights twinkling through the windows, champagne glasses scattered, napkins crumpled, evidence of the night's drama. My phone buzzed. Text from my hotel manager. The Bradford bill? What should I do with it? I typed back. Forgive it. Send them an invoice anyway. Let them know what was forgiven. Sometimes people need to see the cost of their choices. Another text. The videos, multiple guests recorded everything. It's already going viral. I smiled. Let it. Truth usually does. And truth was exactly what happened 2 weeks later, when those viral videos reached over 10 million views, when my hotel bookings doubled, when Olivia completed her first shift in housekeeping and cried because she finally understood what real work meant, and when Trevor designed his first hotel renovation that would win an architecture award. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do to people, it's who you become despite them.
2 months later, I stood in the same ballroom where everything had unfolded. But tonight was different. The space was filled with my staff, all departments, annual company celebration. No fake smiles, no pretense, just people who'd earned their place here. Olivia was there, wearing her housekeeping uniform. She'd requested to keep working that department, said she wanted to master it before moving on. I was proud of her for that. She stood with Maria, the head housekeeper who'd become her mentor. They were laughing about something. Real laughter, the kind that comes from shared experience, not performance. Trevor was across the room, talking with our lead architect, showing designs on his tablet. He'd been promoted last week, not because of his engagement to my sister, because his work was exceptional. He'd found something he was good at, something that was his. Marcus, the security guard, sat with the front desk team. He'd completed his probationary period, excelled actually. Now he was training new staff, teaching them what he'd learned, about seeing people, not assumptions. My parents were there too, still awkward, still learning, but trying. My father had asked me to lunch last week, just the two of us. We talked for 3 hours about my business, my journey, the years they'd missed. He cried. I'd never seen him cry before. My mother started volunteering at a women's business mentorship program, helping other mothers see their daughters clearly. She said I'd inspired that. Antoine approached with a glass of wine. Mademoiselle Chen, the staff, they wanted to tell you, this is the best company celebration we've had in 15 years. Why's that? Because you celebrate us, not yourself. He raised his glass to a boss who remembers where she came from. I clinked glasses with him, to a chef who makes magic happen every day. The viral videos had changed things, not just for me, for the industry. 3 major news outlets had called, asking for interviews about treating staff with dignity, about family dynamics, about what real wealth looks like. I'd done too, donated the appearance fees to hospitality worker scholarships. The videos themselves, over 18 million views now. Comments flooded in daily. This is how you handle entitled people. The sister's growth is amazing. I want to work for her. The look on the security guard's face will never get old. That last one made me laugh, because Marcus was a good sport about it, even changed his social media bio to "that security guard," leaned into it. Bookings across all 22 properties were up 43%. People wanted to stay at the hotel where the drama happened, wanted to eat at Antoine's kitchen, wanted to meet the owner who'd exposed the frauds. I'd hired a PR team, not to control the narrative, to handle the volume. The Bradfords had disappeared, left the state. Rumor was they'd moved to Arizona, trying to rebuild their reputation. Good luck with that. Mrs. Bradford had attempted a lawsuit, defamation. It was dismissed in 3 days. Hard to claim defamation when everything said was documented truth and recorded. And Trevor had cut them off completely, changed his phone number, started therapy, working through years of manipulation. Him and Olivia were still engaged, but they'd postponed the wedding. We want to know who we actually are first, before we promise forever. Smart. The party wound down around 11, staff filtering out, thanking me, hugging each other. This was what I'd built. Not just hotels, but community, family, the real kind. Olivia stayed behind, helped me clean up. Old habit from our childhood, before everything got complicated. Can I ask you something? She was folding napkins, didn't look at me. Sure. Why didn't you tell me about all of this before that night? I thought about it. Because you didn't want to hear it. She flinched. That's fair. And because, I paused, choosing words carefully. I wanted you to see me as your sister first, not as someone with money, not as someone who could solve your problems, just me. She stopped folding, looked up. I never just saw you. That's the problem. I always saw you as less than me, less successful, less important. Tears filled her eyes. I was so wrong. You were. No point in lying. But you're learning. That counts. She nodded, wiped her face. I'm proud of you, for real this time. Not because of the hotels, because of who you are. Thanks, Liv. We finished cleaning in comfortable silence, something we'd never had before. Before we end this story, if it resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment about a time someone underestimated you. Share this with someone who's building something in silence. Your support means everything. Thank you. Now, the ending. 6 months after the engagement party, I received a letter, handwritten, forwarded through my corporate office. No return address. I opened it carefully. The handwriting was shaky, but readable. Miss Chen, you don't know me, but I was a server at your sister's engagement party. I recorded the entire thing, posted it online, made it go viral. I kept reading. I wanted you to know I got 17 job offers from that video. People saw how you treated your staff, how you stood up for us, how you valued us. The letter continued. I accepted a position at a hotel in Boston as assistant manager. They said they wanted someone who understood what good leadership looks like, someone who'd worked under you. My throat tightened. I start next week, and it's because of you, because you showed the world that how you treat people matters, that dignity isn't about money or status, it's about character. It was signed simply, "With gratitude, Jennifer." I folded the letter carefully, added it to a growing file, letters from staff, from viewers, from people I'd never meet, all saying the same thing. Thank you for showing us what's possible. My phone buzzed. Text from Olivia, picture attached. Her and Trevor at a small courthouse, both smiling. Caption read, "Did it our way. Simple, honest, real. Thank you for teaching me what matters." I smiled, texted back a heart emoji. They'd figured it out, found their own path. Good for them. I stood at my office window, same view as always, city lights spreading endlessly, but somehow it looked different now, brighter, fuller, more meaningful, because it wasn't just my success anymore. It was shared with family who finally saw me, with staff who trusted me, with strangers who believed in what I'd built. The security guard who sent me to the service entrance, the sister who dismissed me, the in-laws who tried to use me, they'd all taught me something valuable, that being underestimated is a gift, because while people are busy looking down at you, they don't see you rising, don't notice you building, don't realize until it's too late that the person they ignored owns the ground they're standing on. I learned that at the service entrance, peeling prawns in a kitchen, wearing an apron nobody expected me to take off, because the truth is, people will always judge you by appearances, by clothes, by assumptions, by their own limited imagination. Let them. While they're busy deciding you're not worth their time, you'll be too busy becoming everything they said you couldn't be, building empires they can't see, creating success they can't measure, writing stories they can't rewrite. And when they finally notice, when they finally look up from their judgment and see what you've become, that moment, that recognition, that shock, that's not revenge, that's just reality catching up. My name is Harper Chen. I'm 33 years old. I own 22 hotels, employ over 4,000 people, support my family, mentor my staff, and I started it all in faded jeans and a college sweatshirt, because success doesn't care what you wear, it cares what you build. And I built something that matters, not despite being underestimated, but because of it. So to anyone listening who's ever been sent to the service entrance, who's ever been dismissed, overlooked, judged by their appearance instead of their potential, keep building. Stay quiet if you want, or be loud. Either way works. Just don't stop, because one day you'll own the building and they'll still be looking for the front door. Thank you for being here, for listening to Harper's story, for believing that where you start doesn't determine where you finish. Remember, the service entrance and the main entrance lead to the same place. You just get there differently. And sometimes the different path teaches you everything you need to know. Keep going. Your moment is coming.